Shocks, with that match complete, we are ready to take a look at the final standings of the Spring Split. In first place, locked in yesterday, SK Gaming with 18 wins, 10 losses. Fnatic now, second place, secured. They're going to be in the semi-finals. Third place is Alliance after that victory and going 2-0 today and 2-2 overall. Roccat, fourth place with 15 wins and 13 losses.
Then we have Gambit on 5th place with 14 wins and 14 losses, and just under them, Copenhagen Wolves in 6th place with 13 wins and 15 losses. Going to the relegation, of course, we have Super Hardcore in 7th place with 10 wins and 18 losses, and Millennium 8th place, 9 wins and 19 losses.
And the European LCS Spring Split playoffs will begin on April 15th. So here's a look at the brackets as they stand. SK Gaming and Fnatic, of course, are the two top seeds. That means they're sat in the semi-finals already. Alliance, as we've just said, will be playing Copenhagen Wolves once again, and that means that Roccat and Gambit, who finished 4th and 5th, will be facing each other and going through to play SK.
And remember, of course, if you win your quarterfinal match, you're 100% sure to be in LCS for the next split here. And that's where we're going to see the two losers from the quarterfinals play each other, and the loser will then drop down to relegation.
Yeah, those two quarterfinal matches are huge because you could potentially see Alliance, you know, the number 3 slot
Alliance
fall down
Gambit.
there. We could see some crazy matches. It's going to be fantastic. April 15th, remember, that will be. Now, though, we are at the end of this Super Week. Let's take a look back at 5 players who went OP in their roles. In the top lane, it was Soaz from Fnatic. He had a 4.25 KDA on the Lee Sin, a 6 KDA on Yorick. I was holding my head when I saw that Yorick, but his solo lane Lee Sin was an all-star pickup for Fnatic, completely dismantling enemy compositions, and he even went as far to bust out Yorick to help Fnatic secure that second place win in the Super Week. Fantastic stuff.
Yeah, that Yorick pick by itself, it shut down, or it at least outfarmed Ryze in the laning phase, and also when it came to team fights, he was just unkillable. So Soaz, whenever he's playing these bruisers, these tanks up in the top lane, Fnatic seems to win.
Well, Svenskeren in the jungle, he is our second OP player, and of course we heard from him earlier on. He had a 72% kill participation over 3 games with Evelyn, 1 game with Elise. Didn't bust out the Spartan this time around, which he's been playing so well on over the seasons. Svenskeren has been the backbone of SK all season long, and in the early game he had his OP jungling this week, helped them lock in that first place.
Throughout the entire season. In the start, a little bit shaky, but then after a few weeks, he just started going in every single game. He performed so well for SK Gaming. And every time he does well in the early game, the entire SK team does well. So he's so important for them. And coming into the playoffs, he's definitely the guy to watch from SK.
Well, the mid lane, it's a Jesus, because he had a fantastic Super Week this time around. A 12 KDA on Ari versus the Super Hot crew. He opened up his champion pool at the end of the season and really has flourished on all 4 unique champion he played in those 4 games. But most impressively, he helped SK come from behind with some clutch Ari versus Super Hot crew. Remember taking down that Twitch. That was the big move at the end of that game.
At that game, he was really the guy making sure SK Gaming could come back in the game, get the win also, and of course secure the first place in the standings. So his Ari play was fantastic, and normally we see him play Nidalee, Ziggs, Gragas, and he's very good on these champions, and now finally actually picking up something more assassin type and doing really well too.
And don't forget those 10 kills he secured on Ziggs as well. That was fantastic. AD carry, no surprises here. It is Reckless. He's heading the All-Stars right now, but he went 26-15 over the 4 games in this Super Week. 2 games on Vayne, 2 games on Lucio, and Reckless showed why he's the top KDA and why really he has the best mechanics, I think, certainly as the AD carry.
And he's the most consistent AD carry we have in Europe at the moment. Every single game he's performing. We rarely see him lose the laning phase. He's always picking up a lot of kills, and even when Fnatic is losing, he's sitting there with like 5 kills, 0 deaths. So when it comes to Reckless, Fnatic can always trust in him being able to carry.
I'm glad he's turned out so well, because I remember when they were having that 8-game losing streak, Reckless was saying, he's like, I don't feel I'm doing anything wrong. I don't know what I can do to help my team, but it all turned out best for Fnatic. They finished 2nd place, of course. His support alongside him, well, he's been ever strong. It is Yellowstar. He's had a 70% kill participation. Every AD carry needs a support, and Yellowstar has shone alongside Reckless in all 4 laning phases this Super Week. 2 games as Leona, 1 as Morgana, and 1 as Karma.
And he's really showing how many different champions, how many different styles he can play as a support. Morgana, of course, very defensive. Karma, a lot of utility. And then you have Leona if you want to do the engages. And the fact you have a support who works so well with your AD carry and can play all these different champions simply means Yellowstar is a very, very good player.
And sticking on support for his spectacular performance this week, we are awarding the most valuable player title to SK Gaming support, N-rated. He had a 7.5 KDA. He played Leona twice and Karma overall. Fantastic performance by Chris overall. He's been brilliant this week.
The entire season he's been brilliant. Like the things he's bringing to SK Gaming, shot calling, of course, preparing before the matches. He came into SK Gaming when Nif left to join Alliance, and everyone was like, well, N-rated, he used to be very, very strong, but then, of course, he left Fnatic or got benched from Fnatic here, and now he just come back into the season and showing how good he is. And his Leona play is still fantastic. Remember back to IPL 5, how good he was on Leona now, and he's still as good. Every single time he plays it, he lands every single engage. He wins the laning phase for him on Candy Panda.
Well, you know, also award we gave you last summer actually is most improved player, I think, for N-rated, because he started the season so badly, and he said himself, I'm not playing well, but he really has turned it on. Fantastic stuff. We do have a clip, a highlight clip to show you of one of his most MVP plays.
Very, very deep. They get this
And
one
it's
on
just-
Svenskul. Well, look at the damage coming back. There's a great solar flare. They've caught Countdown at the backside.
And this is just N-rated. I mean, every single team fight, whenever there's a chance for him to land his ultimate, land his CC onto a key target, he's gonna hit it. In the laning phase in that game against Copenhagen Wolves. Oh, Jinx, or Forgiven of course, are you overextended? Boom, engage, dead. Every single time, he landed his ultimate straight in his face. There was never a chance for Forgiven to do anything. So, N-rated, when he can play Leona like this, you're actually almost forcing a ban onto your support, and it's very rare we see Leona bans.
Fantastic stuff. Remember that the North American LCS will be kicking off their Super Week starting on Friday with 5 big games. Up first, it is Cloud9 versus XDG. That will be followed by Coast versus Curse.
And then followed by Counter Logic Gaming versus Cloud9. Then we have Dignitas taking on Curse, and Evil Geniuses will face Team Solo Mid. And those matches start on Friday at 9 p.m. Central European Summertime, 12 noon Pacific.
Yes, because we are in the summer right now,
Yes,
apparently,
we are.
over in Europe, and the sun is shining. That does it for us today. We'll return with the European LCS Spring Split playoffs beginning on April 15th with Alliance facing Copenhagen Wolves and Roccat facing Gambit in the quarterfinals. Remember that tickets for those matches are now available, and you can pick them up at lolesports.com. While you're there, remember to keep voting for the All-Star players through to April 12th. So for myself, Deficio, Quickshot Joe, Shocks, and the entire LCS broadcast team, thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you soon.